Just a couple of things further to Harriet's question about volunteering. Increasingly, volunteer centres are facing a dilemma that people have got about long-term unemployment, issues like learning disabilities and mental health. And a lot of volunteering is about the common good and giving, but it's also about helping people to rebuild their life. And I think one of the things that we face is that we have government policies that are favourable towards volunteering, but other ones that contradict its aims, like the misuse of disclosures and other issues like that. And there's so many issues about just now that I think resist the movement of volunteering to advance and promote the well-being benefits and employability opportunities for people. There's a couple of questions in that. Are we going to recognise volunteering that's about a life-building experience, about giving people the rights that we all enjoy to work, the rights to good health, the rights to participate in communities? But the other thing is about, in Scotland we have a war against poverty. How could we fight that war when we've got an ring-fencing, when different local authorities will take a different view on the issue of poverty, and some might decide to fix holes in roads instead of tackling inequalities within their area? So I find it hard to fight that war against poverty, which is a Scotland issue, which is a UK issue, with all these policy drivers that are coming about for welfare to work, forcing people to volunteer, that might come through David Cameron's agenda, and with all these complicated issues. But the one thing I think that's changed in volunteering since I got involved, it's not just about people giving, it's about people rebuilding their life. And I don't think that's always reflected in policy, because other ones contradict its aims. I was just wondering what the government's role is in trying to enable volunteering, which is a right for everybody, develop the value base, and see one day, maybe when I retire, we could end up, and you'll probably retire before me, John. Well, if the election goes wrong, we could even but don't mind me that.
People mind us about retiring early, you know.
We'll support you even more. But I forgot what I was going to say there. We're not going to do that, eh? But I think the big issue is that about, let's reflect on the value base for volunteering, where volunteering is the right of all individuals to participate. And let's make sure that people from the most disadvantaged and discriminated against backgrounds enjoy the opportunity and are supported through the government policies and through the efforts of all around here to make that journey throughout their life.
I think you know, Gary, from the experience I've had in interacting with your own organisation, many of your own activities locally, and I hope your question about my early retirement wasn't informed by any electoral intelligence in Angus. I've seen countless examples where what we would call mainstream public sector solutions just don't reach people. That's what my comment in my speech about the third sector being more successful in reaching hard to reach individuals is a recognition of the reality that when somebody's in a difficult situation in their life, they are not ordinarily going to be able to put on a shirt and tie like me and go off and perform at some job interview, and somehow all of the other difficulties in their life will just kind of disappear for this wonderful job interview that's going to get them into the labour market and life will proceed. It's just not as simple as that. And in many respects, and whether it's about a job interview or whether it's about going to the shops or going to any form of social activity in a community, that journey may be an impossible journey for an individual to make. But I've seen countless examples where volunteering has been the gentle set of steps that have allowed the individual to start that long journey back into having more control over their life and being able to make a contribution to society. So, that to me is an entirely understandable and representative picture of the challenging journey that people sometimes face. And that's why I want to make sure that in what's a difficult forthcoming public spending environment, we entrench the role of the third sector, because those challenges are going to get greater. We've now got, we've got about 80,000 more people unemployed now today in Scotland than we had 12 months ago. That's 80,000 more people who are, not getting up in the morning with somewhere purposeful to go. And we all know what that can then do to people in terms of the spiral of decline and depression and difficulty that can bring for individuals. So making sure that we have the support in place that gives people a route to manage out of those difficulties is absolutely central. Now, crucially, I don't think the public sector can deliver all that. You know, when I had a very interesting experience, not long after I became a minister, when I went to a learning centre in Fife, and they were dealing with individuals whose lives had been in some chaos. But the bit that were explained to me, which I found of most interest, was that before the individual could in any way come into this environment to learn, frankly, literacy and numeracy skills, these are for adults who just life had just gone the wrong way, before they could get anywhere near even starting that journey in literacy and numeracy skills, they had to go through a whole process led by the third sector and volunteering organisations which got them to a position where they were actually able to handle that. And the public sector is nowhere in that space. You know, I think in many respects you have to turn up with your shirt and tie on for the public sector to be able to deal with you and to use that as a shorthand. So that I see as one of the many different attributes of what volunteering and third sector organisations can contribute to.